What is up, everybody? I'm NoLucksGiven, and if you recognize this music, get excited because today we're going to be taking a look at Solforge Fusion. This game is currently in early access on Steam, and there's also a free demo that you can check out just to try it out. It doesn't have all of the features, but you can at least play a little bit of the game. So I figured to kick off this video, I would start off with the tutorial because there's probably a lot of people that are familiar with Solforge, and if you aren't familiar with Solforge, it'll be good for you too. But for those of you that are familiar with Solforge, you might not be familiar with Solforge Fusion and some of the changes that this game has made. So we're going to take a look at Solforge Fusion now, and I guess a brief history lesson as well. Solforge was the first digital first card game. Before Marvel Snap and Hearthstone, there was Solforge, and I specify digital first because there were games like Magic the Gathering and Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon that were physical games first that then created digital clients. Solforge wound up not working out, and they shut down the digital version of the game, and then they relaunched it as a physical game here. And there's physical cards. Let me open this up. Here we go. Here's a example token card right here, which are double-sided. But now they have taken the physical relaunch of the game and made a digital client for it. So it's no longer really a digital first game, but it's still something that I have a lot of fondness for. I was the #1 rated draft player in the original digital Solforge, and this game probably will not have draft in the same incarnation. It also really won't have constructed in the same incarnation. If you haven't heard already, Solforge Fusion is a little bit weird. It uses like pre-generated decks, and you do get a little bit of say in how you construct the decks because every game, every deck, you put together two half decks of two different factions, and then you choose your Forgeborn as well. All right, let's hop into this game. I guess the other thing to bring up is some of the cards are also fused together, and that is part of the Solforge Fusion of it all. You can see all of the cards in our hand have names that follow the naming of adjective noun: arrogant slayer, combat decayosaur, combat raptor, hibernating bear, stout worm. So all of these cards are basically like two halves of cards combined, if that makes sense. But that's all kind of like procedural behind the scenes stuff. I think that that's not super important to just understand about the gameplay. The actual gameplay of Solforge is pretty basic, but also very strategically complex in a way that is kind of unassuming. If we take a look at Hibernating Bear, we can see that there's 3 different cards here, and that's because every time you play a card in Solforge, you shuffle the leveled up version of that card into your deck. So with Hibernating Bear, we can see it's a 3/5, then a 6/7, doesn't get that big because it's hibernating, and then it comes out as a 24/25. And the main decisions that you have to make in Solforge, because there's no resource system, everything costs, basically just it costs the play, that and you get to make 2 plays a turn. But if we take a look at Combat Raptor, 8/4, much stronger than that 3/5, 13/5, considerably stronger than the 6/7, though would still trade with it. But then Combat Raptor, 18/9, falls off a little bit compared to the Hibernating Bear. And if we take a look at like Arrogant Slayer, we can see a kind of similar trend, a little bit bigger on that center level, and then a little bit bigger than the Combat Raptor on the 3rd level as well, but still nowhere near as big as the Hibernating Bear. So because of that, I'm going to want to level up my Hibernating Bear. So I'm going to play that this turn, and now the leveled up version of the card will get shuffled into the deck. And that is basically the main system within Solforge for managing like a resource of sorts. You do also get to play 2 cards per turn, like I said, and that's different than original Solforge as well. You can see these symbols over here on the side of the screen. This donates, what word am I looking for there? This designates? Yeah, maybe that was it. This designates that I'm going to make a play, then you're going to make a play, then I'm going to make a play, then you're going to make a play, and then we are going to battle. So to follow this one up, do we want the Combat Decayosaur? Do we want the Stout Worm? That kind of falls off. Maybe I'll just continue to play what I feel like are the best cards for the level. And I'm going to set up my 5-3 against this 4-4, so that way we can just trade these things off, and then my opponent's just going to play another 4-4. In the tutorial, your opponent will only play basic little zombies here, and then we're going to battle. So because I was the player playing first and third this turn, I placed my cards a little bit farther up, closer to the center of the game board, and that means my cards can damage my opponents this turn. At the end of turn, cards that aren't in the center, that are backline, they're going to slide up, as you see my opponent's zombie does. And now my opponent has the Forge, and that is indicated by this. I'm just skipping through all the, if you want to read all that tutorial stuff, you can download the game yourself, but I'm tutorializing it myself here. Now my opponent has the Forge. They're glowing, so they got a big glow up here. So now they are going to have the first and third plays. They're going to play their cards here. You can see my cards would now be played back, and basically you always either get the last play, or you get to play your cards aggressively, which means they can damage your opponent. You can see we hit my opponent for 3 damage there. My opponent's also losing 5 life a turn just because it's the tutorial. That way they can get it over with. And they want me to play a spell this turn, which is kind of interesting because none of these spells are particularly exciting here. But I suppose we will. I kind of want to play this thing first. I think it will allow me to sequence break here a little bit, because if I'm going to deal 4 damage to an enemy creature and give my warriors +4, then I probably want to play a warrior first. This card is just a beast. So maybe we'll do this. Honestly, I feel like I'm going to play Ferocious Roar if my opponent blocks here, because that will be lined up really well against a zombie. No, they are just going to play another zombie. So do we slam or do we roar? I could just see roaring again. Ice Storm's kind of cute because it deals 2 damage to this, but that's not really relevant damage to me. Let's take out at least one of my opponent's zombies here. And yeah, I'm just going to take that one out. That way I take a little bit less damage. We get to give this guy +4, and then we're going to hit my opponent for 3. They're going to hit me for 4, and these 2 cards are just going to battle into each other. Damage in Solforge is permanent, so this will remain a 10-5 unless I have ways to like regenerate that health back or whatever. And then, of course, damage to yourself is going to be permanent. Yeah, we alternate control of the Forge, and this turn we have it. Give another one of your creatures +4, 5 damage to a creature, play 2 Wisps. Ooh, so if we had played the 4 damage here, then we could have finished this thing off. That could have been good. But I think we will just go with the Arrogant Glider. We'll bring on the pressure for my opponent. Then I will probably play this Combat Breaker to pump up one of my unopposed creatures. Yeah, they're just letting me have it here. So we could just go like totally aggressive, but I think that this is a fine play here, and I'll pump up the Bear, because that's unopposed, and then we'll hit my opponent for 15 here, down to 14. We'll make short work of them. Oh, they're going to play one more zombie. That's right. So we will only hit them for 7, down to 22, and then 17 on their turn. But 2 of my cards surviving is probably good. I don't know exactly what my opponent... Oh, you know what? I do know what my opponent has access to in their deck. Just more zombies. Now it's been 3 turns, so now we're going to shuffle our deck in. A few things happen at the end of the 3rd turn. First, you shuffle your deck in, and now have the opportunity to draw those leveled up cards. You can see we find the level 2 Combat Raptor. Still not as good as just like this level 1 card, so maybe for the tutorial, you just want to stick with playing your best cards, because we're not really even going to get the opportunity to play the Hibernating Bear. And then we're not going to get the opportunity to play the level 3 version of it unless we just start like replacing our cards. But I think I'm still going to run that one out there, and no way to save this. The other thing that you get access to, probably should have looked at this first. Ooh, yeah. Okay, wait. Give one of your creatures +3/+3. So we can technically save the Venerable Wartusk or the Arrogant Glider by also making use of my hero power. And maybe I'll do that. So the Growth Aura hero power, basically you can see we've got a level 2, a level 3, and a level 4 hero power. Your hero powers they can change depending on your deck. It's not like each faction has specific hero powers. Each half deck comes with different hero power options, and that's like the other level of customizability that you have. You pick 2 half decks of 2 different factions, and then once you've selected those 2 half decks, each coming with their own Forgeborn, you just pick one of those 2 Forgeborn that each comes with 3 different abilities, one that you can use each on levels 2, 3, and 4. And there's only level 4. Game stops after level 4, and there's some tiebreakers to be had. I think I'm going to play this just to use it or lose it kind of thing. The tutorial is not that long, so let's just use it. And then at that point, I mean, we might as well, we either like wasted it or we use it to save this Wartusk, so we will make a 13-1 out of this, and then we will battle up. We're going to trade here, survive this one, and like I said, my opponent is really just playing zombies. They used Zombie Horde to destroy one of our creatures here, but they're probably just going to be able to play 2 zombies this turn. If we can Primordial Slam to deal 6 damage to one of their zombies, that could be a pretty nice getcha. And otherwise, okay, so here's a great example of the like fused together nature of cards. I did not realize you could get 2 cards in the same deck, but here we have Stout Decayosaur, and we've seen some other Stout cards previously. We also have Combat Decayosaur, and we've seen some combat cards previously. So that's why these 2 cards with the same artwork have similar stats, but not quite exactly the same. But for this turn, I think let's just lead off. Yeah, I think let's just lead off with this, and then my opponent will probably play a zombie here, and then, I mean, I'm basically going to make it so that they have to just replay another zombie here, because this is going to be a lethal Venerable Wartusk, but then we'll hit my opponent for 17 with my other 2 creatures. So that should be enough to get it done here and win the tutorial. And now I will jump into, and I'll probably have these like parts of the video section off or whatever for anyone that was interested in just jumping ahead. There's also a single player campaign mode that you have access to even in the free version of the game. It is longer in the paid version of the game in the early access. And the other thing that you get from early access is the ability to play the multiplayer for the online battle, which I suppose I could just try that out, but I'm really curious about the campaign. I've touched on the tutorial already, but I have not even pressed that button so far. So I really don't have any idea what's going on. When you hop into the game, you get 4 starter decks, and you can fuse them together. So we go to Aloyan, select the Aloyan starter deck. I believe the starter decks might be the same for every player, and I just browsed through them briefly. I think that this is probably the best setup that you can do. So let's see how far this can get us here. I also have some decks from kickstarting the game, and I might try playing with those as well. But for right now, let's try this one and try to emulate some of that new player experience. So we've got Reclusa, and looks like we can not amp up the difficulty. I don't know if these are potentially levels on her or exactly what that is. But welcome to your first campaign. Click on nodes to gain buffs and fight enemies until you reach the boss at the end. If you lose, you must start over. You can exit and continue a campaign at any time. Okay, so there are 3 different. So this is going to be similar to like a Slay the Spire type thing, at least I think, but I'm not exactly sure. I actually have not played Slay the Spire yet. So we will see exactly what our options here. When you use your Forgeborn's ability, play up to 1 Mega Gizmo minion. That's not bad. When you play a spell, reanimate a random creature. That's pretty cool. However, this deck has only 3 spells in it. I looked at it before I was recording. Oh no, maybe there's a little bit more. Oh, there's 6 spells. Oh. Okay, that's actually a considerable amount of spells. That's pretty good. I might consider that. That's a nice little tempo and some early game. At the end of the second deck cycle, so this is like a late game thing, play up to 1 Fireheart Idol. When you play a creature in this lane or play another spell. So this is an Exalt spell, which looks to be a spell that stays on the board as sort of like an enchantment or portal in Hearthstone. Marvel Snap doesn't really have any equivalents to this just yet, but when you play a creature in this lane or play another spell, put a counter on this. Then if there are 2 or more counters on this, you may destroy it to deal 8 damage to an enemy creature and the enemy player. That also does not seem that good for that crazy payoff. So I'm going to reanimate whenever I play a spell. That seems good. It reanimates a random creature, and I don't believe you have say in where that creature goes to, but we'll see how that works. So now we have to select an enemy to battle up against, and there are 3 different modifiers. I do also want to say that this is the paid version of the game. I got a code for the early access to try it out and show it off here on the channel from the developers. So everything that I am showing off might not be available in the free game, but I believe as we start off here, this is going to be the same experience that you can play and play for free right now. And the game is, I believe, $15, though that might be with a sale price for the initial release. So let's take a look at these enemy modifiers here. Sunder plays Lightning Spark at the end of each deck cycle. Okay, I believe that's 5 damage. I can't mouse over that, but I believe that's 5 damage to a creature or player. Iron-Blooded. Iron-Blooded creatures come into play with +2 armor for the turn. That seems a little bit trickier. This seems the easiest one so far. Nova plays a Wisp minion in an empty lane at the start of each deck cycle. That seems fine. So let's go for that. All right, there is the opening Wisp. We can easily eat that up with some armor. We also have Hibernating Bear, but Restless Wanderer is definitely a card that I want to get out there. So I might go for Hibernating Bear, but I think I like the armor on Combat Techno Hulk. I can play it here, and then later on I can move it, and I can eat up this Wisp as well. Oh, you know what? This seems slightly better. So let's eat this Wisp, then let's move over and eat this Wisp, and I will put my Restless Wanderer probably here in the corner, and then my Techno Hulk has a little bit more maneuverability. I was thinking maybe my opponent would play their 2/2, so that's a little bit awkward, and they replaced their first play, which is awkward for sure, but then they gave all of their cards +2/+2. And all of a sudden, I am already not looking like I'm in a great position, but I think I'm still going to go like this. So this card seems really good, especially when you have it without the Forge, because you can play it without Defender and get 2 activations out of it, guaranteed. And we're going to just use that to create another Wisp over here, soak up a little bit of damage. Maybe I could have put that here. That way I would have had the opportunity to move Combat Techno Hulk either left or right. But then I'm going to battle. So I'm going to take 8 here, and I'm going to eat this up, deal a little bit of damage to this, but we'll be able to clean it up next turn with the second half of the Restless Wanderer, or Relentless Wanderer. I think it's Relentless Wanderer, right? Yeah, this card is from the original game, I believe, as well. We can play another Gizmo with this. Ooh, I have the ability to play first. Right. Okay. Playing 2 Wisps, not super good. Now, a Gizmo minion allows you to create a 2/2 that then gives something else +2/+2. That's definitely something that I am also somewhat interested in, because of the ability to discard a card and level it up. I might go for Summoning Council. Like, level up the Summoning Council, and then... Yeah, okay. This is going to be fine. We're going to play Energy Surge. We're going to make a Gizmo. And then I think I'm actually just going to level up the Justicar. Oh, that's right. Oh, we get to reanimate a... Wait, how do I... Okay. Let's upgrade this, and then I'm going to reanimate something. Forgot about my ability. So is that happening now? That's going to happen after the resolution of the spell. My Lyria's Commandment. And I do get to choose the location for this reanimation. Well, I believe this will just be a Wisp. Oh, wow. No, I reanimated the Justicar. Okay, that was a lot better synergy than I had intended. But I guess you don't actually reanimate cards the same way in this game. Because the interesting thing about this is this game is a physical game first. So even though we're playing like a digital only experience right now, yeah, there's still some kind of interesting relics going on because of the fact that this was a physical game. And I will just pop this thing right here. Alright, my opponent is playing a card with Breakthrough quite clearly. And it did not replace a creature, so it is just a 5/6. But we're going to get one more use out of this because this card had Defender, which means it doesn't slide up, so these cards are not battling this turn. So we actually get 3 activations out of this, and I think I messed up. I think I actually wanted to play this here first, then make a Gizmo, and then use the Gizmo, put a Wisp on top of the Gizmo, so that way I had a 4/4. But we're all just learning here, so that's fine. But I am going to replace this Wisp with a Gizmo. Oh, can I not? Oh, I can. Cool. Alright, so a little bit of a mistake. Could have had a 4/4 here instead, but not much to be done now, and that would have just meant a little bit more damage on this thing. We're mostly looking to just trade off for this turn. because I also didn't understand some other things going on. But that's fine. That's fine. That is, it's a tutorial for me as well in this one. And we're all learning. We're a little bit behind compared to my opponent, but I don't think I don't think we're devastatingly behind. Alright, my opponent's making a lot of wisps. So I might want to get out the suppressing prophet. And this card is also really cool. Activate if a spell was played, it gets 3 armor, but only 3 armor for the turn, so I guess that's not a huge deal, ultimately. Is this a warrior? It is. So I could use Force Field to save my Wanderer. That would also let me reanimate something. And can I see what my options are to reanimate? Yeah, right here. So I would just be reanimating like the Techno Hulk or the Justicar. Those aren't bad options. And then the Transcendent Biologist is also really good. That's what my opponent played last turn, and it's pretty synergistic with everything I've got going on. So I might just go for the Biologist. Oh, but if I'm going to do that, let's make a Wisp first. And then I think I might go for Force Field, because keeping this in play when I potentially find my level 2 Biologist next turn could be really, really strong. Alright, so let's end the first half of the turn there. Then my opponent is going to replace one of their cards. And I'm not even exactly sure what just happened. Play 1 Wisp. Oh, give their minions +1/+1 only. I thought it said +3/3. I was like, that seems really good. But no, +1/+1. So we're still looking to positively battle here. I think the AI could, it's not super strong. But then I'm going to save this thing with a Force Field. And I get to reanimate a random creature again. And I will have to replace this. And that gives me a combat Techno Hulk there. So let's battle. We are going to take down my opponent across the board here. And this is where having some of those effects, like when you replace things, becomes pretty good, because we are definitely out of room. But hopefully we can start to hit my opponent for some damage. They make a Wisp in maybe the worst possible location for them, and then we have the ability to play a Gizmo and upgrade a level 1 card in our hand. We have the Forge, so we're up first. Do we have a robot in play? We do. Wow. So we can make a Mega Gizmo. Do we have a mage? No, this is a warrior. A lot of like types matter things in the game. Suppressing Prophet to kill the Wisp, though the Wisp doesn't really matter. So this is where it's a little bit awkward to have so much space, because there's not really anything we can do with it. I definitely want to set something cool up with this Metamind Overseer. Might just be an Asperian Steel Plate. This is a 7/7. We could give it an additional +6/+6 with the Mega Gizmo for 13/13. That seems pretty useful. So let's start with that. and see what our opponent does. They're going to make a 4/9, and they get to make a wisp, and I think... Oh, no, that's all that they'll get to do. All right. Just a little wisp, and then I'm going to make my 13/13, I think. I could use the Suppressing Prophet to destroy something, but I don't think that that's as good. The other option is just not using this Mega Gizmo yet and making use of it next turn, but the fact that we have the Forge means my opponent could pick this off if they wanted to. So I think I'm just going to go for this. And then that'll be all that I do. It gets +6/+6 and +3/+3. I won't worry about using this. It doesn't really do anything for me. And we'll get in there. Okay, they're going to play the level 2 of the Biologist. Make some more wisps that replace themselves. Yeah, the AI, I don't know if it's potentially intentionally bad when you're getting things going, right? So I don't want to just say like the AI is bad. It's probably purposefully so as a sort of introductory method. Yeah, that was terrible. They played an 8/8, then replaced it with a 2/2 immediately. We can... I mean, I probably just play this thing. Stealth is interesting. It means it can only be blocked by front row characters. Just looking if there's anything else we want to level up a little bit. Not really. I think I will probably just make a Mega Gizmo for the Justicar. This also lets me reanimate something, so I guess I'll replace the Wisp. And we'll also upgrade this. I think I'm going to speed up the animations here a little bit, which is nice. Wanted to show off that feature as well. You do have some options there. Oh, I get the dinosaur that I just created, and then it's unopposed. So now I might even use Might of the Herd. That's pretty funny. Let's end the first half of the turn. My opponent is going to make a Wisp. Will they just replace something? Probably. No, okay, they actually played it open this time. And I could give this +3/+3. That does not seem nearly as good as just popping this here. Or potentially even just like dropping this here. Let's do this. This seems like a pretty menacing thing. An 18/15. That's like a level 3 card. My opponent does have a Botanimate, so maybe that does make that a bad play, actually, because they can just Botanimate my entire Justicar now. So that'll be a little bit awkward if that happens, and I finally lose my Restless Wanderer. It can finally rest, but I might be able to bring it back here with a Force Field or something. So this is a Warrior. This is a Robot Beast. I will probably play the Force Field on the Justicar, assuming they don't Botanimate. Wait, what does this do? Oh, it's got mobility. Sure. They are going to play an Underdrop here, an Arrogant Basher, and they are going to remind me that I have not used my hero power. So I probably want to do that. And you know what? Using this on the Hibernating Bear is actually a pretty good call. Could use it on the Prophet. Prophet's kind of cool. I'll just use it on the Bear, though. And I still get to play another card this turn. could just make the Justicar go crazy. Now I kind of want to make use of my Gizmo. Yeah, I'll just play the Hibernating Bear. This shuffles the level 3 version into my deck for next turn, which I think is actually really good. So, let's get that done. No more moves. Let's do it to it. My opponent's going to chump block my Justicar and take a whole bunch of damage. Take 19 damage for the first blood drawn of the game. And now let's see that Hibernating Bear. There it is. Yeah, that paid off pretty dang quickly, didn't it? So Energy Surge, I can also get one Mega Gizmo. I can also upgrade the Force Field for 15 armor, which would allow it to survive and then play it for free. Could also use it on Botanimate, though. That is an interesting question. I think I would like to upgrade Botanimate. And the reason is, once you use your level 3 cards, they're actually gone in this game. There's only 4 player levels, and level 3 cards will go to my discard pile so I can reanimate them with Commandment. I don't have the Forge, so this is a little bit sketchy, but I'll maybe get something better here. And I do. This gives me a... Wow. Another Mega Gizmo. Yeah, I mean... Oh, I thought I was playing for this. I don't know what's happening now. Sure, I'm still getting a Mega Gizmo. So right now I'm getting a Mega Gizmo. Let's throw that here. And then I'm going to give all of my minions +2/+2. And I could also play a Wisp. Let's say none. Give these +2/+2, and then I'll throw down the Hibernating Bear. That was my first play of the turn. I've done a lot so far. I can use an ability. Oh, that's right. I can play a Mega Gizmo minion. Let's not worry about that just a second. Let's battle here first. And sure. All right, we are definitely taking over. Feel like just slowly getting a bigger and bigger advantage. One thing I will definitely say with Solforge Fusion is it does feel like you run out of space a lot more. And part of that is like the synergies, and part of that is like playing up against the AI. But even I played in one Kickstarter tournament, and I felt it in that as well. Because you often just don't have space to play everything. So something like this is kind of interesting. We will get an Oak Father at the end of this turn, so I think that this is probably pretty good. Yeah. They definitely have to block the bear. And they probably have to block this too, which I don't have like a great answer for. I'm going to hang on to this because it doesn't really even do anything. So I guess I could replace this with this, or what does this do? 2 Wisps. Also doesn't do much for me. I guess I just make a Mega Gizmo. and then I replace it with this. So this is now also almost lethal. I'm not going to use this. I'm just going to make a guy here in a minute. Oh. Oh. Okay. That could have been crazy. They could have taken out my hibernating bear. I don't know everything else that just happened there, but it doesn't really matter too much at this stage of the game. But my opponent definitely had a chance to make some nice comeback plays. But they are not going to. I do get to make... Wait. Do I not get to make an Oak Father then? Maybe not. Maybe I misinterpreted that card. Oh, we're still in level 3 right now. Oh, that's why. Okay. So I could make a Wisp. Could make a Wisp and give it +3/+3. Interesting. Man, I feel like I'm just going to trade here and trade here. And that's fine. Not super impressive. I do have 2 dinosaurs now, so I guess I could use Might of the Herd, potentially. This is a chump block, and they get to make another Wisp. They're going to replace their 8/8 because why wouldn't they? Of course. Give one of my creatures aggressive. So I guess I could give this dinosaur aggressive, pump up all of my dinosaurs, and this would also let me reanimate something. Oh, wait. Let me undo this first. And make a Wisp. Give this aggressive. Oh, that's right. I'm just going to replace this Wisp anyways. All right, well, doesn't really matter. We'll throw that here, and that allows me to make more Wisps. This is also a deck that makes a lot of tokens, so maybe you're not always this full up on cards. But this deck definitely does a good job of filling up all the locations. And this didn't even die, so I'll still make an Oak Fodder here, though. I think that that's fine. So now this can just poop out an Oak Father every single turn. This will be really good if I could get a Mage, but I don't currently have a Mage. I don't know if I have a Mage in this deck. But I think I might just go Justicar and then Might of the Herd. That seems tough to beat. Oh, and what is my level 3 ability? Give my creatures +5/+5? Alright, let's fire it off. I could wait to the second half of my turn to use that as well. And would probably be better. But let's just try to end the dang thing. So I'm going to pump up my dinosaurs, reanimate a random creature. Can I skip this? Oh, if I can't skip this, I'll have to replace this. Yeah, I can't skip. So let's replace this. That's silly. We can skip this, though. That's fine. And then we're hitting my opponent. Even if they block my bear, my opponent is going to take about 50 damage here. So this will finally end it. And I think I might play one more game, get a little bit of a handle on some of the cards in my deck, And I believe I'm going to keep any, like, augments and things as I get them. I will keep the Lyria's commandment as we go in. Yes, so this is my Lyria's commandment, and then I've got the opportunity to pick up another one when you replace a creature. That seems really good for what we're doing. When you use your Forgeborn's ability, get 2 gizmos, or at the start of the first turn, play up to 1 Spirit of Vigor. When an adjacent creature comes into play, up to 1, right? It gets +5 health. So +5 health is pretty good, and then we can replace the actual spirit as well. But I think, based off just how much we were replacing cards in the previous game, I think this is going to be really good. So we will take Drix's right hemisphere, and then we'll take a look at what we can battle against. And potentially these are all like crazy paths and things that will be fun to explore. I really don't know all of the different stuff that this game has, but I think I'm going to probably do like a little bit of a let's play of sorts with it, and continue to keep this content rolling out here on the channel and exploring it live with you all. Empty the Graves. Whenever anyone plays a spell, they get a mindless zombie minion in a random empty lane. So that means us as well. Chaining Adept plays a free spell whenever a player's creature dies. Wait. Oh, no. That's my opponent. I was like, if we both get to do that, then I basically, like, get to go infinite, where whenever one of my cards dies, I make a spell, so then I make another card. All creatures have Defender the turn they come into play. Oh, that's them. No, I think that's everybody. It says all creatures. This says whenever anyone, and this specifies the name of the character. I mean, I feel like I'm up for playing up against the hardest opponent here. So I think that this is definitely the hardest, but yeah, there's no real like rhyme or reason to that. Oh, and this is their augment. Cool. So they played a Wisp when they played this. That's the only thing we've missed so far. And then choose an enemy minion. The enemy replaces it with a... Oh, it's minion. It wasn't creature. So we saw this polymorpher ability in the previous game too. Make a Gizmo plus War Machine. That's a pretty good combo. My new things when you replace... Yeah, so I might just want to like make a Gizmo right off the rip and then replace it with War Machine. I do also like the Voltaic Prophet to start building off of that. But I think I'll just go for here for right now. Exalts are spells that stay to a lane, just like creatures. You can have 1 Exalt and 1 creature per lane. Deploy, deal 3 damage. Trying to read this. When you play a mage in this lane, deal 3 damage to an enemy creature, then destroy this. Interesting. Well, let's play the War Machine. That'll battle up against this, and then could even save this. If we want to give this +3/+3 now. Yeah, might as well. That's a pretty good start, I think. This dies when my opponent plays a mage in the seal. But I think to start the game off with an 8/9 is a pretty good way to go about it. Now, once my cards start dying, my opponent gets to get free spells, which is crazy. I can knock this off with a Gizmo, but I can also knock it off with a Wisp down the line. I don't know if I have any mages. Can I check my deck list in any way? I don't know if there's a way to check my deck. There probably is, to be honest, but I'm not sure. I do like the idea of getting the hibernating bear in there. Probably with the energy surge. So maybe let's just do this. Oh, I also get to reanimate. Did I have anything to reanimate? Maybe I'll wind up reanimating the bear again. That's what happened last time. I don't think I had anything to reanimate yet, so now I will reanimate the bear. Yeah, that's a pretty good combo. That's a pretty good combo. All right. Then they are just chump blocking. Oh, nice. Oh, wow, they randomly got a mage into their seal. That's pretty good. And then they killed one of my things, so then they got to cast a spell. But because the spell, this is a really weird interaction that Botanimate replaces one of your cards with a Wisp. So since I replaced one of my cards, I now get to give something +3/+3. I think I'm just going to go for the bear. And then I'm going to trade off these two. Not trade off, it's a positive battle, so it's a good move. And all looking good to me. This is going to be a positive battle as well, so I'll have two things hanging on with 1 toughness each. They could be cleaned up relatively easily. And then my opponent's going to get to cast some free spells. But assumedly, yeah, they just don't have free spells in their hand at this point. They make a big monkey. Oh, that's not good for me. Okay, then they cast a free spell. This was actually somewhat fine. I don't know. Wasn't that fine. We will have to find a way to take this out. I think eventually the other play would be we could just make Relentless Wanderers and not worry about it. Though I think Botanimating this monkey and leveling up Botanimate is probably fine. Oh, and then I get to make a creature. That's right. I'm going to forget that every single time. Play up to 1 Gizmo. Why is this... Okay, I was going to say, this should not remember its stats. That's a little wacky. And then I will probably just replace this Gizmo with the Relentless Wanderer, but I'm not sure about that. Maybe I'll save it for next turn. Yeah, I'll save it for next turn. Let's just do this. Trade off here. Does this have Defender? It must. Deal 1 damage to an enemy for each mage you have in play. So I will get the first play of the next turn, and I will just have to immediately replace this Gizmo. Wow, they had another spell as the last card in their hand. All right, well, doesn't matter. Now the Alloymancer is just going to take this out, but I do get to play the War Machine on top of the Gizmo. That's pretty good. But I could also use the War Machine on the Mega Gizmo if I want to. I'm going to want to take this thing out. upgrade this. Ooh. Okay. This was not my original plan. But if I reanimate a card here, it will get the Gizmo bonus, and then I'll be able to use Drix's Right Hemisphere to pump up my Relentless Wanderer. So that way it doesn't die to this mage and other small ping effects that my opponent has. I will just make a Wisp right now, though. So that way they can't totally get me, and they actually do. They Conflagrate level 2. Which deals 3 damage to each of up to 3 different creatures. Increase this by 1 for each mage. So they dealt 4 damage to 3 different cards. That's a lot. Let's get the War Machine in here now. And I'll go here. I think that with no, I wanna hang on to the Steel Rosetta for next turn, so that way I can use it to upgrade something that's level 1 and kind of smooth out my draws a little bit. I think that's gonna be better. Smooth out those draws. I was rubbing my pants. I realized you could not see, but okay. This is a you can't you can't upgrade a level 1 card, or you can't upgrade a level 2 card. We'll probably just get the bear out there. I think I might save this ability for next turn, even. I don't really see a way where I'm not playing this bear here. And then I'm possibly playing Botanimate on whatever their play is here. It's just a seal. I really don't have a good play for this Botanimate. So I suppose I could level up the Voltaic Prophet. All right, let's try that. Oh, I might have messed up here. Let's think, because I can also give this +3/+3 with a replacement. If I play a spell, replace my Wisp, then I actually can save the bear. And maybe this is an alright play. Okay. This happened to replace a creature, which is really good. And now it will give this +3/+3. I think I'm fine with that. And this still saves my hero power going into 2.3, which I think is good. Oh, what did my opponent do? Nothing? Weird. Oh, here's my mage. Okay. I figured you had to have at least one mage in your deck if they're going to give you this card. I feel like I will want to play Suppressing Prophet to destroy a creature with 5 or less. If it's a warrior. Yeah, I think I'm going to wind up playing Force Field here too. I just don't know on what. But I think on one of my weaker creatures is actually a reasonably safe bet. Just kind of like distributes my power reasonably. Oh, and then I get to make a reanimation. Sure. Ah, I missed. Could have just replaced the bear or something, but that's fine. And I'm probably going to be suppressing profit for the second half of the turn. No. That's too big, though I could eat this now. Guess I could just give all of my creatures 4 armor. That allows this to survive. This isn't really like a great thing for me, though. I think I might just let this die. Let's make a gizmo. Oh, right. I'm going to replace some cards. Forgot. Keep on forgetting about that. We're going to upgrade this. We're going to give... I could give either of these +3/+3, but I was planning on playing this now. So let's give this +3/+3. Then let's play the Prophet and destroy the Master. And then I might as well give, like, the Bear or this +3/+3. Probably this. Because I think the Bear's a little bit tiny. I could have given this +3/+3 too, but I think a 15-13 is quite good. We'll take this out, and now we are really putting the pressure on my opponent. Okay, that is going to do some nice stuff. They get to turn this into a wisp if they want to. Yeah. That does give me +3/+3. So I got that going for me. I'll just throw that here. Again, the bears are like a little bit weak that I don't think I want to continue to pump them up. But we still hit my opponent for a pretty sizable 19. I'll take it. This is fun. This is fun, and it's a nice little, like, way to learn your deck. And oh my goodness gracious. Oh, that's just their... Was that just this? It's just a free spell. Yeah, no, I don't know what's happening. That's fine. We're left with a 5/5. I knew I was selecting the hardest opponent. That was intentional. So, could grab a Mega Gizmo minion. Do not have a... Oh, but are the Gizmos robots? Yeah. So again, I guess then what I do is I make a Mega Gizmo. So that way this makes a Mega Gizmo. They're going to play a 3/12 that says when you play a mage, get a spell sprite. Play a card. And I guess you don't change your deck at all during this campaign, which is interesting. Yeah, let's replace this. Give this +3/+3. And then I'll just make a little wisp right here. And the main point of this wisp is just to replace it and give something +3/+3 next turn. I could have even, like, replaced here. And that way this would have been an 11/11. But I think that's a little too cute more than it is actually good. Even though this is fragile and can die off, and having a full board might not be the best for me. think that this is still reasonable. I will probably slam down the hibernating bear into the Mega Gizmo slot. I could also just go War Machine here. It's a 1610. No, I want to play the bear. Let's hear it for the bear. And then I'm going to give... I'm going to give this +3/+3 because I think we can pump it up again by replacing this before the end of the turn. Yeah, maybe even just with this. They're going to get a Wisp, and they're going to turn this into a Wisp if they want to. What did they replace? Did they replace this with a Wisp? That's not that fun. Yeah, okay. The AI is just, like, terrible here, which is a little annoying. Sure. So... maybe I should have just kept replacing this because I'm about to Botanimate. Then I can replace... but I'm just going to make a Wisp here. Pump up the bear. Just going to try to end it before the AI stops making mistakes, I guess. Throw that here. Ooh, I did get a replacement this time. So I guess I'll actually give this +3/+3 because now it survives this. I'm going to crank up the animation speed a little bit faster. That's the thing. I wish my things were faster, but my opponent's things were a little bit slower. But it's all good. Alright, Ice Storm, end of turn, but they still have to deal with the bear. And the bear's still looking tough. This is just too big, but I can destroy this, which is pretty good. Profit, recognize profit, and profit. We'll probably just replace the steel plate, or replace the Wisp with the steel plate, I mean. And might as well pump up this thing. Could see pumping up this, just so it's a little bit less... yeah, let's pump this so it's not super fragile. Oh, give this and creatures adjacent to it? Oh, so just... first it just pumps up itself, then it gives adjacent creatures as well, and then it gives all your creatures. I did not realize that this... some cards you gotta pay attention to because they level up a little bit better than you think they might. So the steel plate's actually quite strong. I'll replace this with an Oak Father. That gives me another +3/+3. Sure, I'll go here. And my level 3 is just to give all my cards +5/+5. Yeah, it's kind of nutty. This is... yeah, I can do like a crazy turn here. I think I'm going to start by replacing this with a Wisp, potentially. Like, I just want to end the game right now. And I think that's going to mean trying to give myself as many lethal cards as possible. Then I get to play it for free. Oh, okay. So all of my Lyra's commandments, I forgot about those. I'm just going to throw those here. +3. +3. And +3. This is a pretty dang good turn, though. Let's just keep it going, baby. Give everything +5/+5. This I did not get to quite lethal, so I think I messed up in that capacity. But I think we still did pretty decent work here. And I cannot quite... Wait, no, I can. I can. So we're going to play a Wisp here, and then that will pump up this one, and then with the replacement, I will pump this up to 15 as well. So now we've got 2 more lethal cards that they've got to deal with, plus a little Wisp. It's probably not going to be relevant, but the fact that we made this lethal was relevant. Forgot that we would have... I didn't forget that we would have another play, but I did not think that they were going to like block 2 cards and also kill a card, and I thought I might have to like pass on the second half of my turn, which made it like not ideal, but wound up making it work out, all things considered. So that is the second battle. This is a pretty long video at this point, about an hour long. At this point, I'm going to call it, and we will continue off in the next one. And I think this video probably has enough to talk about already, but maybe we'll finish off by looking at these enhancements real quick. So here they are. I'm not even going to read them. If you want to pause the video and read them yourself, though, you're welcome to. But for today, that's going to be it for me. I will have some more Solforge content coming up. I'm going to do a sealed tournament, hopefully over the weekend. There's also a Fairy Tale Fables tournament, but I think I'm going to do the sealed Solforge tournament. And I'm going to continue playing through this campaign until at least it isn't fun. I hope that the AI improves a little bit and that makes it a little bit more fun. But for now, that is going to be it for me today. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'm NoLucksGiven. Peace.